here is going to be a little unique. I'm going to start off with just a plane, and then I'm going to add. I'm going to. I'm off numbers now. I thought I was working with 7. I'm working with 6. So I'm going to put a plane in. I'm going to take this, scale it down a bit. Get it moved back over. Probably wouldn't hurt if I went ahead and made sure that these points were on 0, 0, 0. So I don't practice everything because I've done stuff for so many years. I mean, it kind of becomes second nature. But I did practice this. Oops. So if that's so, I'm not saying I've fallen what I practiced because I started thinking maybe I should try it this way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 4 extrusions. Okay, listen to this carefully. I want to make 4. I want to extrude this 4 times, which is going to be 2 less than my number of segments. So just bear with me on that one, okay? I'm so, and I'll show you why here in just a moment. So I've got 6 segments going around the outside. So remember how many segments you had, whether it be 6 or 7. I wouldn't do less or more, but you can end up with more and you just end up with bad surfaces. I see so many students try to make good surfaces by just fitting in more control vertices and more hull lines, and that's not the answer. The answer is always fewer. The fewer you can get away with, the better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to do the extrude tool. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this, extrusion tool. This is not the same as this extrude tool. It's this extrusion tool. Okay, so this is on this styling surface toolbar. So I'm going to do an extrusion. And so what needs to be selected over here is this edge extrusion and this fill. So notice what happens when I do this. So there's 1, there's 3, and I said what, 4? I hope that's enough. So there's my 4. Okay, I'm going to add 2 more to the end, and you'll see, hopefully, what I mean when how I add the 2 to the end. And the issue is you've got to create this too, because I've got 6 segments going around, and think about the whole lines for these 6 segments on this side. They start going that way, and then they go this way, and then they come back this way. So these hull segments have got to do the same thing. But I've only got 4, and they're all horizontal. I got to get this eventually to wrap around where these will wrap so I can merge in with these edges. And this is the challenging part. If I didn't show you how to do this, you would I would be really surprised if you could figure out how to do this. I didn't teach it to myself. I had somebody else. I learned it from doing lots of studying, right? And figuring out how to do this. So you wouldn't have to. So I've got 4, which is hopefully 2 less than what I have up here. So let me show you the process. This is a process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face divide this. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do face divide. I'm just going to break it right down the middle. All right. And so after I break it down the middle, I'm going to just go back to my tool palette, go to vertices selection, go to translation. And I usually drag the wrong one here, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to drag this out. See how I'm dragging that out? And here's the trick. Here's the magic trick. I drag this out like this, and then I'm going to do an extrusion, the same extrusion, edge fill, using the control key. I'm going to extrude those together. All right. punch that in, and then let me do some maneuvering here. And so there, I just added a new edge. So right now I have 5. I started with 4, but I count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice, and they all come together rounded. I don't need this G0 edge here. I'm trying to get around it. I'm trying to get this rounded. So I need this diagonal, this little miter looking cut in here. So this is the effect I'm trying to get, is this effect here where I get this outer ring is 2 more than this inner ring in this scenario. So let's do it for this end. Kind of drag this over and then go to my extrusion and then use the control key, select there and there, and it extrudes them together, kind of fills in this gap, and then go back to the tool palette. You can move that to where it needs to be. Now, I know that needs to be on 0, so let me go ahead and put it on 0. And this one needs to be on 0. In addition to being on 0, it also has to be what? These little lines right here have to be normal to my hull line. I mean, they have to be normal to my midplane. This is going to be the top. Let me move this up a bit. Scoop something up there. Uh-oh. I get this problem sometimes, and I don't know. Oh, there we go. Now it's moving. So I don't know what causes that, and it happened to me several times when I was practicing. I've actually practiced this a few times. Um, if you accidentally get an overlapping vertex, it won't let you move it. See, then that was happening to me, and I'm not sure why. So somewhere I accidentally moved and did a snap, and 2 things fell on top, and it just goofed the whole surface up. So just be careful. Notice I had to undo back a couple of times. So, but I'm getting it kind of where it needs to be. Kind of where it needs to be. Still a lot of manipulating to do. So, but that's it. That's the roundedness here that's going on. So let me punch out of this. So, and let me display with edges. So this is going to be hard to see, but so this edge here, which we'll call this my first edge, has got to align with this edge up to this point because of the merge tool. This edge from here to here has got to align from there to there. This from here to here has to go from there to there. This has to go, I believe, is from here to here. This segment right there is going to merge with this segment here. And this final segment here is going to merge with this final segment. So I've got 6 and 6 on both. And they're kind of oriented where they need to go to be correct. Now, what I need to do is what I need to do is I need to make sure that these lines, not that I'm not going to goof them up later, but I need to make sure, at least get it close, that I've got this axis alignment going on there. So I'll double check that later and just assume that it got it. Okay. Now let's have some fun with this. So I've got this close. So now it's a matter of moving this these hole lines around to get it so I can set up my merge. So I want to, let's do translation. We'll do edge selection. Oops, stop it. So just remember, I've got two edges right on top of each other here. So I'm going to use the shift key to select both. I'm going to do a little move there, get it close. Same way down here. Use my shift key, grab both of those. Because keeping in mind, oh, there's not one under the other. I lied to you. So I don't even need to use the shift key. I guess I'm getting so used to doing it. And then, so I'm just manipulating here to get this close. So you're either moving control vertices. I guess you can play around with edges, control vertices, and you're trying to fit this in there. Just be careful with these end ones, because these end ones, you got this normality on this curve. Now I know why I added a seventh one. I need another one in here. And you can add one in. I'm not going to do it. You can do a face divide on both surfaces to get another one in if you needed to. That sounds like too much work. Like I said, I'm only looking for a C, right? So I'm not going to. Let me take this. This is causing some issues here. I'm going to take that and move it that way. And I can take this one and this one, move those over. Now it just becomes more of an art. All right, so getting close to my B grade here. I really wish I had another segment in here. Right here, stuck in between here. But less is better. Oh, that's going to work out. I just need to drag that down. Less is better. So I say 7. I wish I had 7. Really, if I can get this to work with 6, that's better. Just not 100% confident. Oh, I was afraid there I was moving a point. Oops, so you got to be careful there, because I don't want to move this off 0. So let's just look at where I'm at here. See, I'm getting close to the top profile. Now let's look at it from the side profile. I'm going to do it and I'll select. I'm going to start here at the back end and work my way down. So keep in mind where I pointed out my transitions. So my edge, this edge is going to go to here. So I'm going to do a point select. I'm going to use the shift key. So notice you can kind of see some points coming in. And I want to move these points. So I kind of do a little move around just to see what points I'm grabbing. Go back, horizontal. Just kind of move them down. Same way there. Move them down. Here I can move these together for now. I can tweak them later, of course. The shift key. Did that answer your question earlier? The person who was asking me about the shift key, selecting more than one stuff? All right, so notice I got it moved down. So what I'm looking at here is this gap. I'm trying to get a nice, consistent looking gap that goes all the way around. I'm far from it right now, but at least I'm getting close. See how low I am here? Why don't I select these two, move it up. And then I want this one to be up higher. I want this one to be up higher. And then I want that to be up higher, and I want that to be up higher. So far, I'm liking my results. I may even get a B out of this. I'm trying to make this kind of touch off on the top of my model. So I'm just doing some little tweaks here. Just some tiny little baby tweaks. And to me, let me tweak this up a little bit here. Okay. All right. Accept it, punch off on it, and get out of it. Let's look at what we got here. So far I got two surfaces. 6 segments around the edge should work fine, but let's look at this. So I know this is going to merge with this. Here is going to merge with here, but look how far off these seams are from each other. And then when I come here, this edge is going to merge here with this. And look, this connecting line has got to go way up here. So I need to really fix that. So so I got to think about what I want to do here. So I got to really move this more this way. I hope you're tracking what I'm meaning by that. Because it's going to make my model a whole lot better. So essentially, I'm just kind of taking this seam and trying to move it forward. There's only so far I can move it. Without having to move this one next. So I'm moving this one. And so as I do that, this one's coming forward. And of course, I can go back to the base and move that stuff around too. So if I'm thinking back again to how my surfaces are going to merge. So I got these two merging. I've got these two merging, and I'm focusing in on these seam lines here. So far, not too bad. I probably need to move this one back this way and this one back that way, and then this one back that way. So I'm about as much as I can go on the top surface. So why don't I change to this surface? And so I can take now and take this one. So when I move that, now I'm moving this back closer to this surface. Same way here. Now, notice I'm throwing my model really far off, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And then when I go back and look at it from the top view, I've got some work to do. So you'll notice here that I'm going to go back and forth between the two. I'd like to see. Notice I'm still using my shift key. I'm going to get out of that, go back to this one. And like I said, this is very much kind of an art now. You're spending the time to go, I've got to get this perfect. See, and what I'm looking at here in the end, and I just know this from experience, I've got to get these, I want to be merging this later. So I'm just working on making sure when I merge that this seam here, this edge is going to merge with this edge is going to merge with this edge around the horn, as I said before. Now those edges are lining up much better. Do not forget that. And you can see it. If you're not careful, you can see that. If you're not very, very careful with your surface. And that's the difference between a quality surface and a lack of quality in your surface. If you're looking, and if you're ever wondering what I mean by surface quality, That's an example of what I mean by surface quality. You've taken care and you've worked hard to get the surface to be as good as it can possibly be. And that may mean literally spending, I mean, I hate to say hours, but it can literally mean spending a lot of time sitting here manipulating until you're like, I think I'm at that A. I think I'm at that A, or B, or whatever the goal you set for yourself. So that's the surface quality. And then of course we're trying to get it to look like a cell too. So that's enough manipulating here on this one. I would work on it more and more if I was shooting for a good grade on this. But one of the things what I'm looking at right now is this gap. Is this gap good? And are these seams, are these edges lined up correctly or good enough? A little off here, and if I wanted to spend more time on it, I would spend a little more time getting these closer as far as, well, I can't help myself. I got to do it. There you go. That's closer. Now it probably threw off another view, which is fine. So, you pull one and it messes up another orientation. All right, so questions about that before we merge. And I'm done looking at these pictures, so I'm just going to hide them. Now I'm ready to merge my two surfaces. So I'm out of all my surfaces, so let's come up here to the merge tool. I want to select here and then here, and it's going to start merging them. And I'm going to start off with merge mode. I'm going to hold down the shift key, start going around. And it's merging, as I said, these edges together. Oh, I let up the shift key, letting you know it. Shift key, hold it down. Okay. So I got it held down. So that's merge mode. That actually, I like that quite a bit. It takes the two edges and kind of makes them into one. Now, if you like that, that's good. You can try this join mode. If you see join mode, it adds an extra seam in here, which are more control points and more vertices. Or you can do this last one, which is extrude mode, which adds a third one in. So there's 3 seams right here. If you can 1, 2, and 3. Or you can go with 2, which is more simple. Or you can go with the most simple, which is just 1. And what did I say earlier about surfaces? If you can get it to look right, the more simple the better, the less whole lines and vertices. So you're not forcing stuff in. So I want to leave it just like that, the most simple. I'm going to punch it in, get out of it, and that is looking like my seat. Now, one thing I need to do, as I mentioned before, is I want to double check. This is going to be a pain, I know, but I want to double check. I mean, I guess you can take a chance that I don't find a point that's off. I guess usually first thing I do too, especially if I'm being lazy, is I'll just do a side check. This is probably what I'll do with you. Side check and just see if I see anything that's obviously off. See, that's off right here. I don't know about it being at 0, but these two are not, that whole line is not normal. That's a C. That looks good. So just do that final little check. There's only 6 of them. I think. Or is it 7? That's good. That normality is very important if you don't have that normality there, you don't have a good seam. And if it's a reflection, It's a seam that's going to have a reflection over it. You can see it in the reflection if it's a high polished surface. All right, enough there. What did I just do? All right, that's good. Push the wrong button. Good. See how they're lining up with each other? Good. So I had one off over here somewhere. Right there. I don't know why it's off, but I'm sure I goofed something up in the process. So let's check one here. So I've got, oh, these two. Let's check this one first. So that should be a 0 in the X, and I've got a 26.86. I'm just going to do a copy. Paste. Come back over here. You can do that axis alignment if you want to. Fine, but I can do this. Oh, that was the same. So now they're lined up. All right, so let me just do a quick double check. I'm just showing you some things I look at too in a grade, but I'm going to do a double check just down the line here. See if anything is obviously, all these points are on the 0. It looks like they're on the 0. Looks like and are two different things, right, with the CAD system, but that's, if you really want to make sure you don't miss something, you certainly do a more correct grade. Any questions about that? Easy, right? Am I making it look easy? It's not bad. All right, let's see. I want to stop this recording.